Welcome, everybody. This is Jim Boyle, District Governor. It's great to see you tonight. Tonight, we're lucky and fortunate to have Rotary International Director Vicki Puliz and Associate Officer of Club and District Support, Nick Taylor. I'd like to share with you a little background for Vicki and Nick so you can understand where they're coming from. Vicki currently serves as the Rotary International Director for the term 2021 through 2023 and is one of 17 directors from around the world. A proud member of the Rotary Club of Sparks, Nevada, Vicki served the club president in 2004 and 5, the district governor for District 5190 in 2013 and 14, and as a Rotary Image Coordinator 2016 through 2019. Vicki's passion for leadership development has led to involvement in many aspects of education and development, including district trainer for District 5190. Her most impactful experience in Rotary are those involving the youth. Rotary Youth Leadership RILA, a co-creation of a leadership program for 12 and 13-year-olds, Rotary Youth Exchange, and introduction to experimental team building processes to a RILA camp in Africa. Vicki graduated from the University of Utah with a marketing degree and a master's in business administration and went on to own her own commercial contracting firm in northern Nevada for 19 years before merging it with a publicly traded company. Vicki and her husband Tim live in Reno, Nevada at the base of the Sierra Mountains, and they have a blended family that includes seven adult children, 9 grandchildren, and 3 Rotary Exchange daughters. Welcome, Vicki. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks so much, Jim. Great to be here.
Nick, I would also like to introduce Nick Taylor. He has worked with Rotary International for the past 3.5 years as a member of the Club and District Support Team, representing Rotarians in Zone 26, 27, and 25B. He and his team members provide personalized service, training, and regional guidance on Rotary resources and services, administrative procedures, Board of Policy and Rotary Constitution documents, leadership development, and navigating myrotary.org and conducting business online. I call Nick the man behind the curtain, or the Wizard of Oz. Welcome, Nick, and thank you also for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Vicki and Nick, we're excited for you to be here. The purpose of going live on the Facebook event was to share with members in District 5100 the resources that are available at Rotary International and at the zone level to serve and support clubs to help them be successful. Vicki, I thought I'd start off with I call it a lob question.
Oh, a soft question, right?
A soft one, right? Yeah, a soft one. As you are fortunate for us that you sit on the board of directors for Rotary International, perhaps you could share with us what does the board feel is the most pressing challenge to serve and support clubs?
So, Jim, that's a great question. One of our significant challenges as an international organization is growing Rotary and serving our members so that our clubs and our districts thrive. So the challenge is sometimes understanding what our members need and how to provide support for them that is meaningful. One of the primary things we do at the board level is look at how can we provide flexibility, because the best answers come from our members. And that's how we're here to support our members, support our clubs. One of the things at the international level is that we connect members with a global network of like-minded people, a global movement, if you will, of at least 1.2 and hopefully soon 1.3 million Rotarians. And then we're going to add Rotaractors in there as well as part of our Rotary family. So there are some significant advantages to a member beyond the club level by being part of this network and by having the access to other clubs, other members, and other programs around the world to add value to their Rotary experience. So I think that's something that we really can add. So flexibility, connecting Rotarians around the world, and certainly all of the resources that I think Nick is going to talk more about.
It kind of does. Thank you very much, Vicki. I appreciate that opening remark about flexibility and providing resources. Nick, we read a litany of activities and responsibilities that Club and District Support has. Maybe you could share a little bit more of the detail that Vicki alluded to in terms of resources.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good point. I think there's a lot of resources that Rotary International offers that many people just don't quite know about. Just on myrotary.org as a website alone, there's resources such as the Learning Center, and the Learning Center is just chock full of different courses, anywhere from how to be a club secretary, how to be a club treasurer, club president, to awesome courses on inclusivity, microaggressions, on how to de-escalate conflict and resolution, and those types of things that every club and every individual, whether you're a club officer or a member of a Rotary club, can really benefit and take advantage of so many of these types of courses. There's also great resources like in the Brand Center where you don't have to be super tech savvy, but you can go on the Brand Center and you can easily download images. You can create logos for your club, and you can easily update that with your Facebook or your website or whatever it may be. Also, different tools such as Rotary Club Central and keeping track of goals and motivating your club to kind of keep reaching those goals. And then there's resources and possibilities for interacting with other clubs and districts within the world through Rotary Showcase and actually seeing what other projects are happening. So those are just kind of like the four main Rotary or online tools on My Rotary that are just at your fingertips that many people don't know about.
Thank you very much for that. Rotary International has done a great job updating and keeping the Learning Center chock full, as you said, of courses, and same with the Brand Center. Vicki, we were talking earlier before the camera got online about I'll call it the three essential elements. We were talking about public image, and then membership, and the Rotary Foundation. And then Rotary International, through direction from its members, has kind of moved to what I'll call the action plan. Could you give a little context to how that evolution occurred, and then kind of fill in some blanks in terms of what Rotary International is doing to serve and support that area or that endeavor?
Thanks, Jim. So we do have a new Rotary action plan. It's actually in the second year. And the action plan came, like all great things in Rotary, from our members. It came through surveys and interviews and focus groups with over 1 million people, members, past members, and other participants in our Rotary programs who brought forth this information. Now, Jim, I think you call it something a little different, but it's increase our impact, expand our reach, enhance participant engagement, and increase our ability to adapt. Now, you call it FIRE.
We call it FIRE because it's just, we just can have fun with it. FIRE is flexibility, same thing as adaptability, impact, reach, and engagement. But it works. It's part of that action plan.
It works. And it's not that public image, membership, and foundation is not important, because we all know that is a core. Those are core strengths that we have, and especially when they work together. So the action plan allows us to blend those three in each of the priorities. The other thing it allows us to do is be aligned from the club level through the district level, zone, and all the way to Rotary International, using these 4 action plan priorities so that all of our actions are aligned from top to bottom, from side to side. And in fact, I said I wasn't going to say top to bottom because I think we don't have a pyramid, either a pyramid with Rotary International at the top or a pyramid with the clubs at the top. I think we should turn that pyramid on the side and be aligned with our efforts from side to side, so that we're all working in the same direction. But those action plan priorities might mean something different at the club level than they do at the Rotary International level. But if we can all be working in the same direction, it's going to make our organization stronger.
Thank you very much for that explanation and context. And along those lines, Vicki, could you share in the future of Rotary, you were talking about perhaps in the past we had committees that were through the essential elements, but I think you've alluded to the fact that you're looking at some structuring to support clubs a little bit better. Could you carry that through, please?
So, yeah, at Rotary International, we're in the process of redesigning the committees. We've actually reduced the number of committees at the Rotary International level down to, I think, about 26. And we're redesigning the committee. So instead of a membership committee, we actually have a participant experience enhancing participant engagement committee and an expanding our reach committee. So instead of just one committee, we're really focusing on walking the talk of that action plan and being aligned with the efforts that are being done at every level of the organization.
Thanks, Vicki. Nick, as in club and district support, you obviously have, are you involved in survey feedbacks and with members, and how do you go about soliciting and asking the questions to drive the actions to go ahead and support clubs and come up with the programs?
It's a really good question, and I don't think that there's just like one way of answering that. Rotary International, just like any good organization, tries to come at these problems from different angles. And so, of course, we send out formal surveys to clubs and to districts that we ask them for them to fill out, and so that we can get that feedback in return. But we also, as a club and district support officer, I have such a unique opportunity to be on the phone and be in these meetings and speak with so many Rotarians and members of Rotary all around the world, essentially. And that feedback is almost, it's very valuable and priceless that we actually are able to take back. So whenever we meet as a committee, instead of reading data off of a page, we're actually able to say, hey, there's a real life experience and a real life situation happening in Beaverton, Oregon, and this is what we've learned from our interactions with that. And so whenever a committee is put together on a Rotary International staff, whether it's with members of Rotary or just staff or combined, we always try to get multiple voices in the room. It's all about having that diversity in the room, diversity in engagement and participation and interaction, I should say, with the volunteers.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing up the diversity, because it kind of, especially given the current circumstances in the global pandemic, I'd love for Vicki, maybe you can talk about what I guess the acceptance versus agreement and the diversity and the need to hear all sides.
Rotary has taken a leadership position in this topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and created a task force, a global task force of Rotarians and Rotaractors to look at this topic and help determine actions that we should take at the Rotary International level and provide resources for members and our clubs to be able to use, both Rotary and Rotaractors. And so that we do have a leadership position there with this, and have engaged a professional advisor as well to help us through this process. Diversity has been a core value of Rotaries from the very beginning. And we're taking that leadership position with this, asking our clubs to consider if they reflect their community, asking our clubs to consider how welcoming and inclusive are they, asking our clubs to consider what voices are missing from the table and what value would they bring by being included. So I think it's really exciting that we're taking this role. It's so interesting to view diversity, equity, and inclusion from a global standpoint. We so frequently view it from our North American perspective, but Rotary is an international organization, and diversity, equity, and inclusion has many different facets and many different nuances as we go around the world.
One of the things you know, in this district, it's Oregon and Southern Washington, we don't get necessarily exposed to what Rotary International does in terms of different actions, behaviors, cultures, values. So anything we can learn through widening our horizons and understanding is actually a benefit, and we appreciate the perspective that you have. Nick, it kind of leads to a question that I had for you about, given what we're going through in the global pandemic and the spike that we're seeing in Omicron, you get a chance to see clubs from all over. Tell me what you see from your perspective and the club and district support on clubs that are thriving and what they're doing and what we can do to help them, our clubs here.
Yeah, I think the main thing with clubs that are really thriving during this time, and absolutely, let's just get that out there right now. This is a very unique time in our world history, and it's hard. I mean, what we've been used to has changed, and so I think it's also a matter of just recognizing that it is different. It is unique right now, and definitely the clubs that are thriving. And it's really figuring out with their members what's going to work at this time. From my personal experience from the clubs that I've seen that aren't doing so well, it tends to be kind of what Vicki was talking about earlier, kind of a top-down decision. You know, this is what we're going to do now because this is what the board decided. But if you're a board of only 5 to 10% of your club, what does the other 90% think? What does the other 90% want to do at this time? And really, I think the clubs that are thriving in this time are taking advantage of what we have, you know, taking advantage of this ability to have hybrid meetings. They're taking advantage of meeting online or doing service projects. They're, you know, I think about, there's a district in California that right at the beginning of the pandemic, they had been searching and thinking of what they could do to really bind the district together, what they could do to motivate everyone to serve and get a district project. And then boom, the pandemic happened. And what better time to serve and to help a community out than a global pandemic? And they were able to get everyone involved. They raised money, they got masks, they did you know, personal protective equipment. And because of that, they were able to add an entire brand new club to their district. So 30 to 40 new members joined, and they wanted to just do all thanks to you know, really finding out, like taking what's happening and making it positive and really taking advantage of what, you know, for many people is a really tough time.
It is, Nick. I think you hit on a topic that Vicki usually talks about when she's talking about looking at things positive. It's almost like a controlled imagination, looking for the possibilities and the opportunities. Vicki, you were talking about that earlier on a call with us about with the DGs, about looking at the positives and the opportunities. Is it a lens, or, I mean, share with us how Rotary might be able to help clubs with that perspective?
Well, first of all, I think it's really important that we ask our members what they want and what's important to them, and then also have a really clear idea of what our community is all about. And you know, clubs are different nowadays, so the community might be defined differently depending on if you're a global club or if you're a club in a small community or a club in a metropolitan community. So really being connected with what the members want, what's meaningful and purposeful for them, and then also what's meaningful and purposeful for the community, what's going to make a difference. I thought it was interesting. We've been looking at. I was listening to some people talking about the data on clubs that are growing and the 5 key elements that are behind the data. What are those 5 key things that are common with clubs that are growing during these challenging times? So, if I might, I'd like to share that with you. The first is leadership. And I think that's really important. Our club leadership, not only our club president, but also our board and the other leadership in the club, is so important. The second thing is setting goals and having plans. And this is especially important if you're including your members and developing goals and plans that really meet their wants, and their needs. The third item was many service projects. And what struck me with that was the word many. People right now, especially Rotarians, want to be giving back. They want to be making a difference. They want to be part of something that is bigger than themselves and making the world better. So having those service opportunities, many service opportunities, is certainly a key to clubs that are growing and thriving. The fourth was being visible in the community. And that's certainly easier to do when you're having these service opportunities and when you're connected with what's most important and most needed in your community. And then the fifth item was active, intentional engagement. So making sure our members have a voice in what's happening in the club and are actively involved, pursuing their own dreams and passions in giving back to their communities.
Thank you for that. That leadership, if I heard you correctly, leadership, setting goals, many service projects, community involvement, and active. Thank you for that. That is very insightful. Clubs will really appreciate. The last one is an area I'd love for us three to explore, and it's called engagement. So in going around, we've asked clubs, maybe Nick, you can enlighten us on this. What is the definition of engagement, and how can we help clubs define? Tough question.
That is a tough question.
You can pass that on to Vicki if you want, Nick.
No,
Oh,
I
no.
can't wait to hear your answer to this one, Nick.
I got it. I got this one. Don't worry. I think, I mean, I love the idea of engagement because, I mean, that's the only real and true way that we're going to grow Rotary. I think for many, many years, historically, people joined a Rotary, they almost needed Rotary, right? And because they wanted the recognition, they wanted networking, they wanted all these things. But nowadays, Rotary International needs members. We need, you know, it's almost a shift, this paradigm shift. And what does that mean? It means that we need members to be engaged. You know, members need a reason to come to the clubs. They need a reason to join Rotary. They need to find their why. And if their why is networking and mentorship, then that's fantastic. If their why is many, many service projects like we just talked about, perfect. But I think that's the key to engagement. The key to engagement is finding out what your why is. And what your why is as a club might be completely different than what another club's why is. And that's the beauty of Rotary right now. The beauty of Rotary is it's very individualized. You can, I mean, Vicki, I'm sure you do as well. We attend these virtual meetings. We attend meetings in person all the time. And I think for a long time, you go to every meeting, no matter where you are, if you're in California, New York, Maine, wherever in the States, you kind of feel like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a Rotary meeting. It goes the same way. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think Rotary meetings change and they do things based on what their membership needs, what their membership wants. And so I think that's the real engagement here. I think just finding out what works for your club, finding that why, what's going to motivate you. I think, you know, when you find out the passion of your members, that's what's going to yield action. That's what's going to create engagement. And it is all about passion. And so what works for, like you said, what works for an inner city downtown Portland club might not work for Ashland, Oregon, or something like that, you know, like a smaller town. And that's okay. And it's just finding what works and running with it.
Thanks for that insight. It's up to the, would you say, if I heard you correctly, it's up to the club leadership to ask each and every member where their why lies, and then how we can facilitate that for that member. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, absolutely. And an easy way to do this is to look at your bylaws. You know, like every single club has this, everyone's beholden to the standard Rotary Club Constitution, but every club has their individual bylaws. And when we talk about flexibility, when we talk about, you know, individualizing your club, that's where you can do it. And so you can actually sit down either as a club board or as a club membership And you can amend and create these bylaws. Where do we want to meet? How do we want to meet? How are we going to create these dues that more people can actually come? You know, we talk about these big changes in Rotary, but it's the small, tiny pebbles that we're throwing into the lake that are going to cause the ripples and have these major changes. So it is, I think, if clubs more often look at their bylaws, look at what these small little things they're doing and ask the members why they come, what's going to help, you know, what's going to make them come back. Are we asking members that leave Rotary why they left? You know what I mean? So some of these like little things that I think we can do that are just going to have major impact.
So Jim, would you ever have said bylaws when you were talking about engagement? But that's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. We have these broad guardrails for what it means to be a Rotary Club. And yet there's so much flexibility in between. And that's exactly what Nick's talking about, is the fact that every Rotary Club has this flexibility to be the club that will meet the needs of its members and provide value and relevance for the members and for the community.
You know, Vicki, thank you for that last comment about, because it's providing value for members and the community. And in your bio, it was noted that you have a marketing degree and an MBA, and that you were working in the public image coordinator for our zone. Vicki, some of the challenges I've heard other classmates that are district governors, they're challenged with internal communication. What's the best way to reach the members? Do you have any insight into that, or something that maybe you could share with both how the district could help its membership, and also how club leaders could reach its members? How the district could help its membership, and also how club
I actually
leaders
think
could
this one is
reach
easy.
its members.
And I think it comes down to an acronym for love.
Another easy question.
To
Right?
love your members and have your members love Rotary. And it's listening to your members, asking them why. I'm going to go back to Nick's thing, asking them why they're Rotarians. It's being open to new ideas. It's being true to our values: friendship, integrity, diversity, service, and leadership. And then it's being energetic and enthusiastic. So I think if we do that, if our club leaders love their members will love Rotary.
Vicki, thank you so much. I love the acronym. Really, I promise to give you, praise and approbation after the first time I use it, but can I use it after that?
You're welcome to use it.
Thank you very much.
The more you use it, the better.
You know what? Appreciate that, because that helps us look at how we can help engage members deeper level. Nick, I'm gonna, I'll at the risk of forbearing it all, I'll reverse the roles and have you feel free to ask me questions, because you and I have dealt with one another in the past on rather unique challenges. I'd be open to hearing any questions.
All right, I guess this could get interesting now, huh?
See how it goes.
So, yeah, no, I mean, I think what I'd love to hear about is, where do you think, what does your district do right now that's exciting, that you think should be implemented in more districts? You know what I mean?
Great question. We think about that all the time. Nick, allow me to give you a brief context. At the beginning of the year, when you're looking at what message you want to share with your members in the, and then you say, okay, as a district governor, when you come to visit, what is it that you want to convey, and how might you inspire and motivate them? And then when it came down to those clubs, Nick, that maybe had some challenges in succession planning, so what we've done to serve and support those clubs is we are now embarking upon two activities that are interrelated. One is a leadership identification and development program. So we have created our first inaugural launch, where we're going to have 13 coaches and 13 identified leaders, and we're going to work together on creating a personalized leadership development program. That we're excited about, because you know what? Identifying and developing individuals, what this is all about. Because let's face it, we may not be here as we exist today, and we want to make sure we're developing leaders for. The other thing we're excited about, Nick, is there's been some clubs that, you got your Pareto rule, the 80-20, where you may have 80% thriving and growing, and you may have 20 that might be challenged. So we've decided with clubs' input about when they were not having success on having succession planning, we've decided that working with clubs and training and doing board development is a way to help clubs stronger, successful. The board actually holds the responsibility for. Talk about the board holding the responsibility for the vision, long-term sustainability of a club. And so those are kind of training activities that we're working for to help clubs move forward and become stronger and.
I like that, especially just I love the topic of leadership and leadership development. I just think it's absolutely fascinating. And here's a shameless plug for our team, Club and District Support. We started a podcast in the last year, and every single month we interview different people. I actually host it, and we'll have to have you on it at some point here, Jim. But we recently, a few months ago, interviewed Director Valerie Wafer, who's in the Canadian zones. And our topic was leadership. And we were talking about what makes a good leader, how can Rotary International be known as a leadership development organization, just as much as a service organization, just as much as a networking organization. And one of the things that she talked about that I absolutely loved, and I'd love to share with you guys, is she talked about how the number one priority of a leader is to find the replacement. So as every leader, your number one job is to find the next leader. And so I think with a club president or any club leader at that, once they become in that leader or arrive at that leadership position, who are they inviting to take that next step? We asked Valerie, we said, well, like, how did you get to where you are? You're director of Rotary International. What happened? Like, did you have this like master plan and take all these necessary steps to get there? And she said no, she had no plan. She didn't have any idea that that's what she wanted to do. It took somebody tapping on her shoulder to say, hey, do you want to be a club president? I think you'd be great at it. And then after that, it was, hey, would you like to serve in the district? Hey, would you? And it just built on that. And so I think just inviting is such a good way, and just so important for clubs to look to the future, not just because of the club's well-being, but also this is how we are inclusive. This is how we can be diverse. This is how we get other people to join. This is how we do all these things. Once again, going back to these small little actions, just an invite, that's all it takes. So yeah, I think that's a great thing you guys are doing.
Thanks, Nick. Vicki, tying into Nick and leadership, at the International Assembly last year, there was a presentation done on servant leadership. I don't know if you remember, there was a Rotary International past president. And I believe that we've adopted that wholeheartedly. And could you explain a little bit about how Rotary International is implementing that, and then maybe a little insight on how we can help clubs work towards that? Because leadership is obviously a core value of Rotary.
And I think leadership development is a hot button for me, as you could tell from my bio. And I think Rotary should be a thought leader in the world on leadership development. Our clubs offer on-the-job training in leadership development. And so there's some courses in the Learning Center that also support that from the standpoint of a member wanting to get more individualized information on that. And servant leadership certainly seems to fit the way we run our meetings, the way we run our organization. the way we provide service. So servant leadership certainly is one of those models that is a key. We're actually running a pilot in zones 26 and 27 to discover if we can share servant leadership philosophy and key aspects with a broader range. I love the idea of your identified Rotary leaders. Do you know what? Rotary is made up of leaders. That's one of the really unique things about our organization. When we're inviting people to be part of Rotary, we're inviting other leaders. And that's why so many of the decisions that are made in our organization come from the club level up. That's why the projects are determined by the club level. These are leaders who see what the challenges are in their local community and in larger communities, and then look for those solutions. So it's interesting. It seems like corporations, entrepreneurs, and all sorts of businesses would be flocking to Rotary for the advantage of leadership development that belonging to Rotary or Rotaract will give each of the people who join. I'm wondering why that isn't happening and how we could do more of that, because it really is a leadership development opportunity as well as a gift to be a part of Rotary.
I think Rotary, one of the best kept secrets, your point, is Rotary helps develop further into it, which, by the way, then in turn, I'm sorry I'm going off, but in turn, it makes them better husbands, better wives, better friends. It just makes them better. Rotary does. I love your idea about how servant leadership work that. That's maybe a broader perspective. Vicki, we had talked about how might we as leaders, how might we help members to develop and not be concerned about, I'll call it, I don't want to say failure, but concerned about the outcomes of what change may or may not be. So how do we get them to, how do we help people be willing and able to take risk?
Oh, that's a
Change may
good
or may not
question.
be. So how do we get
What do
them,
you think, Jim?
how do we help
We have to
people be
lean in.
willing?
We have to lean into it, don't we?
After I let that go, I was like, oh God, coming back. So couple of things. So I in my head, I use a couple of acronyms.
Uh-huh.
FAIL is first attempt in learning. So you never really fail unless you stop learning and stop trying. So you got to be okay. In fact, embrace the misstep as you approach your end goal. So that's one area. And I think the other one is almost like fear is another acronym. God, we love acronyms. It's false evidence appearing real. So, fear only happens if there's a human host, right? So we have to empower people to be okay to realize those feelings and still be okay taking steps. And that's an area I don't know, because we really do need to make some changes, right? So how do we help people embrace that feeling, make it okay?
I think it's our
really do
priority
need
about
to
increasing
make
our
some
ability
changes,
to
right?
adapt and
So how do
innovate.
we help
You
people
have to be willing to
embrace
take
that feeling,
risks if you're
make
going
it
to make
okay?
changes.
I-
I think it's part of our action plan now, Jim.
It's a great challenge for all of us to embrace. Be okay supporting one another. I guess that's what you're.
Yes.
Vicki, just as we let Nick ask a question, I'll reverse the table and feel free to ask a question.
So, Jim, what are the keys to success of learning how we can best support our
I'll
members and our
reverse the
clubs? Do
table
you
and
have some
feel
keys
free
for
to ask.
success that you've learned over this past 6 months or so of supporting your clubs and your members? What are the ways we find out how we can best support them?
Vicki, for this individual, I don't know if this is the best way, but it's what effort to develop relationships. I personally contacted club president, asked them how we might be able to serve their club and their members. And it's been a variety of answers. But honestly, that goes according to what we were talking about earlier about servitude leadership. Because whatever they need, it's our job to do, right? That's what. The other thing is we've been asking, in fact, just this morning, we had a session with the AG, assistant governors. And we asked the assistant governors what we can do to help them further support their. An interesting discussion failed. I don't know that we have all the answers, but we're certainly asking the question because each club has different. So all we're trying, just as we said, we're going to tailor make a leadership identification and development program for a specific individual. What we're trying to do is tailor make solution for each club in what they're leveraging their strengths as well as work with what they view. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's basically listening and asking questions.
It goes back to love.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. The live broadcast got some questions that actually in some of our members. Vicki, this is going to be a time bomb for you, so you owe it back to me. Not comfortable.
Or we could send it over to Nick, right?
Yeah. Oh, good. Allow me to share with you a little bit of context. District 5100 proud to announce that it has recommended, I believe, the most Peace Fellows in Rotary. So we are a peace building district, and there has been some individuals that have looked at resolution council legislation here. This is off the topic, perhaps, of how we can serve and support clubs, but it will indirectly relate to how we can continue with the peace. There was a treaty on the prevention of nuclear weapons, and I don't believe that the council legislation went ahead and. So, in light of that, how do we kind of emphasize and leverage that, and regardless of the position of council legislation? And I don't mean to say that's not important. I'm trying to look at ways where we can help our members.
So I'm wondering if there wouldn't be value in communication and collaboration with other peace building districts and maybe even through the Rotarian Action Group. Because if you get more Rotarians, more Rotaractors, and more clubs who are behind an initiative, there's a better chance of proceeding through council of resolutions or council of legislation. And there's just more. We've learned this, right? We've learned that partnerships and collaboration are a way to build success. And so I think that would be my first response there, is to be connecting with other peace building districts and through the Rotarian Action Group.
Thank you very much. That's really great. Bill, we just got this. Bill approached in 1984 when his boss asked to, sorry. Okay. All right. Don't look at that. Forget I said that. There's one other one, Nick. Little technical challenge there, but Nick, there's in an effort to help grow Rotary, we as a district have focused developing creative and alternative pathways into Rotary, cause-based clubs, satellite clubs. Could you share with the group on what we could do in terms of satellite programs and how we might be able to grow Rotary?
Yeah, absolutely. So satellite programs are a fantastic way of growing Rotary. Generally, I mean, it only takes 8 members to start a satellite club, and so it's a lot less daunting than having the 20 individuals to charter a new Rotary club. And you also have that support from the sponsor club. And so if there's a strong sponsor club that can kind of provide that support, provide that guidance, then I think satellite clubs is an absolutely fantastic way of doing that. And I think just our number one thing that we've seen from club and district support is when a satellite club is formed, once again, we're going back to your why. Why are you starting a satellite club? Is the goal, to become your own chartered club at one day? Is your goal to just always maintain satellite clubs? We have satellite clubs that have been a satellite club for years, and they have 30, 40, 50 members, but that's okay. Their goal, they don't want to be a charter club. They want to partner with their sponsor club. They want to work together. And so they stay that way. We have other clubs that whenever they start, with 8 individuals, their goal is to get 20, 25, 30, and then they charter. And I think just having that transparency, that open communication is key, because it'll avoid lots of conflicts going forward. But you're right, there's so many other ways of doing that. I think from a younger perspective, we have things like online mentorships that you can actually do. We have Connect by Rotary, which is an online tool. You have all these different things that you can do to kind of meet up with Rotary clubs and test the waters and see if it's something that you want to get into. And I'll bring it back to club bylaws once more. It's my favorite topic. But Rotary International will bill a club for X amount of members, and that's the RI dues. But it's really up to the club how to break those dues down. And there's clubs that offer scholarships. There's clubs that offer reduced rates for students. Rotary International isn't concerned about the specifics of the dues breakdown for each club. That's really up to the club to determine, as long as they're paying their club's worth. And so making it more affordable for individuals to join, going back to that meeting format. Are we online? Are we hybrid? Are we in person? Where are we meeting? Is it in a place that is it accessible, to people of different disabilities? Is it accessible to, is it in a safe area? All these things are things that you can look at within the bylaws to really make sure that everyone can, if they want to, join your club.
Thank you. You know what? I think the creating the different pathways is attracting new and creative minds. And here, it's good to have them see you, Nick, because you're the guy behind the curtain that makes it all happen. Helps them with getting everything in really done.
Yeah. And let me just add real quick, Jim, and I think Rotary International oftentimes gets pegged as like we're trying to stop, prevent these measures from happening. But that's really, as a CDS, as club and district support, we're here to consult. We're here to hear these ideas. And so if anyone does have ideas and wants to bounce them off of us, I mean, that's why we're here, and we're here to help get you to where you want to be.
Thank you very much. We've had some comments from listeners. Now, honestly, Vicki, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you, number one positive feedback is they love the LOVE acronym.
So, the love, yes.
So they love the love. Thank you very much. Also, there's been some positive comments with regards to diversity. And one comment, maybe we can explore this a little further. They're talking about intentional change. And so that would mean exploring the why, I guess, a little bit, right? And getting a deeper understanding. So intent, obviously, pretty important. We're almost getting close to the hour. So, Vicki, and Nick, I'd ask you to think about what maybe on a closing take a couple of minutes and close with some comments about what message you'd like to get across about in final statements about serving, supporting. Vicki,
Okay.
like to get across
Sure,
about
sure.
final statements about
I guess I
serving, supporting.
that are available to them. There's an incredible amount of resources on the My Rotary website. And then also I'll put a plug in for the Zone 2627 website. Our goal is to support our members and our clubs. And we do love our members and we listen and we're open to new ideas. And when we can find additional resources that we can provide to our members and our clubs, we're eager to put them forward and to provide those resources. We work primarily through the district, but we also have channels of resources to be able to provide directly to members. And so we're delighted to do that. So I guess I would just say that I think being a Rotarian, being part of the Rotary family is a gift. And I think we should share that gift. And I encourage you to share that gift with other people that you respect and admire. I think the world needs Rotary now more than ever before. To be part of something bigger than ourselves, to be able to make a difference, to make connections and friendships that last a lifetime, and to be our very best selves is part of what Rotary can give us. And so again, it's been such a gift. It's such an honor to be a Rotarian. Those of you who are Rotarians, I'm so proud to be a Rotarian with you. Those of you who are not, I encourage you to find out more about it because it's just an incredible experience. Thank you.
Vicki, thank you very much, and I'll put in a plug for you. We are so honored to have Rotary International Director Vicki Puliz as our guest speaker in the One Rotary Conference we'll be having. It will be our first ever joint spring training and club and district celebration, and Vicki's agreed to be our feature here on May 9th, 2nd, at Oregon. We really appreciate you, our district, and sharing with us knowledge.
Thanks, Jim. It's my honor.
Nick, you know what? Because you are the Wizard of Oz, we're going to post your information with your approval on Facebook Live if you're okay with that. Love to make sure everybody knows how to reach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much for that permission. Would you like to share any pearls of wisdom in closing comments?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, I'd say I'd just go back to kind of what we were talking about earlier and following your passion. I think clubs, when they follow their passion, it's exciting, it's engaging, and it's really what brings people to Rotary is that passion, not just for Rotary, but also for whatever projects or whatever initiatives you have. And I would also say that, having these small goals, like we can't all eradicate polio at once, right? There's a lot of small goals that go into these big changes. And so, if looking up online, finding out more information about something could be a goal, and that could be the first step, just really taking things in perspective and really just taking those first steps and following that passion, I think, is the way to go. And when you're excited and you have that passion, people will follow. And you don't have to have past leadership experience. You just have to be a passionate individual, and it's amazing what can happen. So just like Vicki said, thank you so much for letting me join you guys. It's been an honor to be here tonight. You have my contact information, always willing to help and support any way I can.
Thank you very much, Nick. We've had some comments here from past District Governor Larry Hatch. We've had Christine Hewitt, Denny Doyle, Tom Rabe. I want to thank all of you, Judy Wiley, for listening and participating, and thanks for the whole membership that's taken place. Vicki and Nick, I know this is a first for us, and I just want to say thank you very much for being willing and participants on this. And I think the world of you. Very fortunate to have this kind of leadership and support. And just want to say on behalf of this, really, really fortunate to have you be on our team. Thank you very much for everything. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Everybody just couldn't believe our first live Facebook, and wanted to make sure. Second, okay, second live Facebook. Thank you very much. for your time and efforts. Look forward to continuing to serve you, make your life more engaged. Thank you. Take care. Oh my gosh, you know what? Hold on. I have made a, hold on. Brandon Peterson and my lovely bride are behind the scenes, have done an exceptional job supporting and putting this together. Brandon Peterson, thank you so very much. Nancy, thank you. Oh God, here we go. Okay, hold on, hold on. I owe a great deal of gratitude to Nancy Boyle and to Brandon Peterson. Thank you very much, Brandon. Thank you, Nancy. Oh my gosh. You know what? We're done. Over and out. And this is DG Jim. And that's.